Have you ever had the tendency, or, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not you, but you've seen others that struggle on their corporate ladder climb. Whenever opportunities pass them by, they don't get selected for that initiative, or they put in for a promotion, didn't get it, that they quickly have a reason why. And 9 times out of 10, that quick response, that reason why, is someone else. That it was Jeffrey who had it out for them, sabotaged them in some way, or their boss doesn't like them. So, clearly, as long as I keep working for that person, I'm not going to get ahead. Or, you know, Mary was talking about me the other day, and I'm sure what she said somebody else heard, and she keeps spilling that venom, going to continue to hold me back. I mean, I've had people that I've spoken to and worked with, and they held on to every single thing that they found wrong that someone else was responsible for, that was someone else's um, issue, that someone else did to them. And when we really started to peel back the layers and dive into those situations, they had to admit that it had absolutely nothing to do with those people, nothing to do with them. You know, was maybe Jeffrey a bit toxic? Probably so. Does people like Mary, run their mouths? Yes, it happens. Truly happens. But the reason why they were stuck, the reason why they couldn't get to the next level, the reason why people avoided them when they saw them coming down the hall when we were in offices and they went the opposite direction, or if you're on Zoom like we've been for a while, and you can tell even in Zoom, body languages, facial expressions happen when a certain person pops in. You can see it almost like it gets sucked out of the Zoom call, just like the energy gets sucked out of conference rooms. And I will tell you that, like I said, when we started to peel back the onion, it had nothing to do with those other people. It had everything to do with themselves, themselves. But because they were not willing to own their own stuff, they kept pointing the fingers elsewhere. They kept pointing the fingers elsewhere. And it has nothing to do with them. And I would even tell you, because I've had these situations where you've had the worst boss you could have, not the best situation, not the best scenario. I've lived those situations and environments, and I can't. There was no way that it was even his issue if I didn't get to the next level, or I didn't get an opportunity or exposure. Because I'm telling you, there is not single individuals that can hold you back. One single individual that can hold you back is you. One single individual that can hold you back is you. Now, we do have companies out there, and I know I've met a couple people recently that I had to say, oh, wait a minute. That's a corporate toxic environment. The entire company is bad. I mean, every single individual we've talked about at various levels, and this is happening at this level. This happens from the CEO down. This happens among the people on the floor. Okay, that is a corporate company wide toxic DNA environment. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the situations where, and this is interesting because I had this conversation today with someone earlier about accountability. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about situations where we decide that we are not going to be accountable for our career. We say we own it. We say we say, hey, I'm responsible for my career. I'm driving my career, but I mean, that's how we act. The but comes in. If so and so could get out of my way, or if this person stops doing this, or we're so busy paying attention to everything and everybody else around us, and we're not paying attention to who we have to look at every day in the mirror and owning our stuff, peeling back and correcting those issues so that we can show up strongly in spite of the toxicity. And, and I'm going to even tell you this, for people that look like me, brown, black females, in spite of the racism, in spite of the conscious and unconscious biases, I know, I've been there, I have lived it. So, in spite of that, because you can't control what someone else does, you can't control someone else's issues, but you can be responsible is for you. You have to own it. So that's why I say it's really not them, it's you. Now, we could take that, all the things that I've mentioned that you probably have had experiences with, I know I've experiences with them as well. We can take that and we can allow that to be the boulder on our shoulder that we walk around every day with. I used to know someone that had the boulder that was on her shoulder. Oh my God, it was so ridiculous how large it was. And when people saw her back in the day when we were in office, they could see her. I mean, it could be a mile down the hallway. If they thought she was coming their direction, they'd go the opposite direction. Because just being in her space brought you down, because everything about her had to do with someone who had it in for her, someone who didn't like her, someone because she was this or because she was that. It was always someone else's issue. And that energy drain is unreal. It's unreal. And it wasn't until she actually under my recommendation separated herself from the environment. I mean, that's how bad it was. That's how bad she had created the mess around her. She had to take herself out of the environment, go on an assignment, and come back in. Work on herself and on her stuff and come back in. It was night and day when she came back in. Night and day. Night and day. So I would offer to you to, spend a little bit more time in the mirror rather than pointing the finger, rather than focusing on everybody to the left, the right, and behind you, and creating in your mind obstacles that may not exist, or focusing too much on them rather than on yourself and all the things that you need to do within your environment to make sure that it happens. Wendy's joining me. She said, I was told you didn't get the promotion because we can't replace you. I overcame this later and became the chief engineer. See that? See that? Wendy didn't allow what someone else had said to be her roadblock. She owned what she needed to do to get to that next level, went and did the work, the extra work, and got the chief engineer position. This is exactly what I'm talking about, exactly what Wendy just shared, who's watching me on Facebook right now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I shared that I was told I would never be, never, word never, never be a vice president. I am today. It's my 7th year in this role that I have. And we are, myself and my global team, we are doing the doggone thing. So, I totally agree with Wendy. And that is exactly what I'm sharing with you today. It isn't them. And I'm going to tell you what, if it is, just like in Wendy's case, when she was supposedly told she wasn't going to get promoted, she did not let that stop her. She didn't walk around with it as a boulder on her shoulders. I'm sure she didn't. You know why? Because she became a chief engineer. So she clearly didn't carry that around. And therefore, people saw that instead of seeing Wendy for who Wendy was and the value that Wendy brought to the table. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. It's so important to focus and to own it and to be accountable and to do your thing in your authentic self and space, because it can be done. It can be done. But if you continually focus on them, and continue to point the finger and walk around with chips on your shoulders, you're going to be exactly where you were. And Wendy would have never gotten to her chief engineer role. So I'm Linda Talaferro from the T the Extra Effort, sharing information like this to help people get unstuck, to help know that you can get to that next level opportunity and give you the tools and the strategies to do that. And I appreciate you joining me. Click on the link if you need some assistance so you can be like Wendy and sit in the seat that you're going for, that you can actually get there. And if you need assistance getting there, click on that link. I'd love to help you. But until then, do know that it truly isn't anybody else but you. Own your career in its entirety. Own it, every aspect of it. Be accountable to yourself. And I guarantee you that you will join Wendy, you will join me in getting your place, acquiring, achieving that next level opportunity that you have had your eyes set on, that those career goals that you've had in place for yourself, fully achieving those. But it starts with recognizing that it's not everybody else's problem. It's not everybody else's issue. It's not because of everybody else. Own it totally. Peel back, do the work, and go get that seat. Take care.